SAENIS in association with Indian Oil R&D Center, MSIL, and ICAT presents an animated tour of vehicle emission testing. Real driving emissions. Connected vehicles.
Let's have an overview of vehicle testing for 2- and 3-wheelers in India. The European Commission classifies vehicles as part of emission standards and other vehicle regulations. Take a look at the vehicle classification. Category L. These consist of mopeds, motorcycles, motor tricycles, and quadricycles. Category M. These consist of motor vehicles having at least 4 wheels and are used for the carriage of passengers. For example, passenger cars. Category N. These consist of power-driven vehicles having at least 4 wheels and are the ones used for the carriage of goods. For example, trucks. And finally, Category O. These consist of trailers and semi-trailers. For testing purpose, a chassis dynamometer is used to test vehicles with a gross vehicle weight of less than 3.5 tons. Hence, Category L of 2-wheelers and M and N of 4-wheeler vehicles are tested during the chassis dynamometer, while vehicles of M and N category and off-road vehicles with more than 3.5 tons are tested using an engine dynamometer for mass emissions testing. Let us now understand the major equipment in the 2- and 3-wheeler emission testing facility. This is the test vehicle. This is the roller of the chassis dynamometer for vehicle loading. The capacity is approximately 50 kilowatts. It is also the load cell for the measurement of torque, that is, attractive force. This is the cooling fan for engine cooling. This is the automation system with the driver's aid system and is used for test cycle execution. This is the constant volume sampler, or CVS, and is for diluting raw exhaust gas with ambient air, and also for collecting the diluted gas in the sampling bag. This is the exhaust gas analyzer for measurement of CO, HC, NOx, and CO2 emissions. Now, let us see some real-time images from the test lab. Take a look. The test vehicle, the roller of chassis dynamometer, the cooling fan, the driver's aid, the control system, and finally the emission system, which consists of the constant volume sampling system and exhaust gas analyzer. Let me explain to you the working of the 2- and 3-wheeler emission testing facilities. So, the equipment setup is already in place in the testing room. The vehicle is got in for the testing, and the following procedure is performed. The rear wheel of the vehicle is mounted on the roller of the dynamometer using vehicle restraint arrangement, and the front wheel is rigidly locked. The cooling fan is equipped with a variable frequency drive so that the speed is automatically varied depending on the vehicle speed. Using the automation system controls and the user interface, the operator can control the parameters of the chassis dynamometer, the driver's aid, and the emission system, either individually or collectively. Once the vehicle runs, the sampling bags are used for the collection of diluted exhaust gases, and they are further tested to calculate mass emissions. Let us have an overview of vehicle testing for 4-wheelers. Take a look at the norms for gasoline vehicles. Now, take a look at the norms for diesel vehicles. These include limits for CO, NOx, and HC plus NOx, and PM as shown in the table. Now, let us see the testing facility for 4-wheeler vehicles. During the test, the vehicle is verified for its test worthiness by ensuring that it meets the recommended check values as per the manufacturer's guidance. Once this is done, the vehicle is soaked in the climatic chamber for 4 to 6 hours before the test to ensure that the engine coolant, oil, and test cell environment are maintained at 25+1 degrees Celsius. Prior to the test, the vehicle is loaded on the roller bench as shown. Now, the test cycle begins and the driver starts and runs the vehicle following the MITC cycle path. Using the control unit and the driver's aid, the driver can control parameters such as acceleration or deceleration, braking, clutch and gear changes, thus simulating the actual driving condition on the road. Once the vehicle runs, the exhaust gas travels through the tailpipe and enters the dilution tunnel. The particle emissions are collected from the dilution tunnel and are measured using the exhaust particulate measuring system. The emission moves towards the exhaust sampling bags and gets accumulated there. They are then analyzed by the gas analyzer for nitric oxide, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, and hydrogen chloride proportions. This table comprises the emission limits as per BS6 norms for different classes of passenger cars. Let us see the modified Indian driving cycle, that is, the MIDC for the passenger car testing. The total duration is 1180 seconds, and the distance covered is 10.6 kilometers, and the maximum allowed speed is 90 kilometers per hour. As per the test cycle, the mass emissions values are reported in grams per kilometer and fuel economy in kilometer per liter. Let us now understand about the real driving emission tests.
Vehicles with combustion engines generate emissions. For this, legal limits apply. Compliance with these limits, according to the standardized WLTP method, is now being tested on a dynamometer. As of September 2017, nitrogen oxides and the number of soot particles are also measured on public roads in Germany and the EU using the Real Driving Emission Test, or RDE for short. In this test, emissions are measured using a portable emissions measurement system, PEMS. During these trials, real influencing factors affect the vehicle, including ambient temperature, altitude, gradients and slopes, headwind and tailwind. A personal driving style, any cargo being transported, and the use of electrical consumers, such as the air conditioning system, are factored into the measuring results. The test route can be chosen almost completely freely, as long as it takes you through the city, overland and over the motorway for at least 16 kilometers each. An RDE trial run may last between 1.5 and 2 hours. This means that RDE is able to cover a range of different personal driving profiles and styles. Measurements start in the city with a cold start, since a cold engine produces more emissions. It's the same for stop-and-go traffic. On country roads, the vehicle travels between 60 and 90 kilometers per hour, even faster on the motorway, reaching 145 or even 160 kilometers per hour for short bursts. Due to these disparities between different applicable routes, the results are not comparable. The subsequent emissions analysis checks whether the limits have been complied with. For nitrogen oxides, there is currently a conformity factor of 2.1, which means that emissions on the road are permitted to be twice as high at a maximum as those on the dynamometer. From 2020, the same limit values will apply as in the laboratory. Only measurement tolerances will be granted a concession of 50%. The same is applied to the number of soot particles since September 2017. This will mean that there are no differences between the vehicle emissions. The RDE test ensures that the emissions of vehicles on the dynamometer and in everyday driving are widely matching.
Let us now understand about the connected vehicles.
Imagine a future where vehicles talk to one another and to critical infrastructure. This connected vehicle technology can change our transportation system as we know it by enabling safe, interoperable, networked wireless communications among vehicles, infrastructure, and personal communications devices. Connected vehicles provide drivers with 360-degree awareness of similarly equipped vehicles within a range of approximately 300 meters. This secure system keeps personal information private and does not track your vehicle. Drivers will receive warnings that inform them of potential hazards through a visual display, seat vibration, or tone. These are only warnings. The driver remains in control of the vehicle at all times. However, the technology can also support limited automated functions in which the driver only cedes partial control of the vehicle. Warnings can help drivers respond quickly to avoid potential crashes. For example, the Intersection Movement Assist application warns drivers when it is unsafe to enter an intersection. The Do Not Pass application warns drivers when it is not safe to pass a slower moving vehicle. The Emergency Electronic Brake Light application notifies the driver when an out-of-sight vehicle several cars ahead is braking. And imagine the value of this blind spot warning application, which lets this commercial driver virtually see what's happening in his or her blind spot. Connected vehicles can communicate with smart roadside infrastructure like rail-grade crossings to alert drivers when a train is coming, even if the driver cannot see or hear the approaching train. Connected vehicles can help with weather-related traffic and safety issues too. This is especially true with conditions such as black ice, where the weather may not appear to be dangerous, but the roads are slippery. Information collected from multiple connected vehicles can help determine when a potential hazard exists, such as icy roads, and warn drivers before they experience them. Road weather data from the vehicles can be sent to Traffic Management Centers, or TMCs, providing detailed, real-time information to help monitor and manage transportation system performance. The centers can then take actions like adjusting traffic signals and speed limits, notifying maintenance crews, dispatching maintenance vehicles to the road, and broadcasting warnings for motorists. Motorists can get real-time road weather information from in-car displays by dialing 511 or by listening to highway radio stations. Motorists will be able to get road weather information on their personal devices before leaving home. Connected vehicles can even help us to reduce our carbon footprint and facilitate green transportation choices. Eco lanes are similar to today's HOV lanes, but with a big difference. Motorists in these lanes agree to drive eco-friendly vehicles and drive at a speed that conserves fuel. Drivers will be alerted about the proper speed with dynamic message signs. Connected vehicle applications can help vehicles to reduce idling and unnecessary stops by communicating with smart traffic signals. Traffic signals broadcast data about their current signal phase and timing, and systems inside the vehicles use the data to determine speed advice for drivers. Drivers could then adjust their vehicle's speed to pass the next traffic signal on green or slow down to a stop in the most eco-friendly manner, thereby saving fuel, reducing emissions, and saving drivers money. Connected vehicles can enhance awareness of unexpected roadside incidents like disabled vehicles, car crashes, police activity, and first responders caring for crash victims. Incident zone warnings will alert drivers about incidents ahead and warn them to slow down and change lanes. Communications could also be sent to first responders at the scene via shoulder radios to warn them of the danger of approaching vehicles. Connected vehicle technology can help control traffic flow and reduce the resulting congestion at accident sites before it gets out of hand. With millions of connected vehicles, our ability to share robust data with each other and with smart infrastructure will continue to improve traffic flow, enhance coordination with transit, and make our communities even more safe and livable. The Connection Protection application gives public transportation providers and travelers the ability to communicate two ways. The connected network gives passengers real-time transit information so they can more accurately predict whether they will make their next connection. If multiple people on a delayed bus will miss their next connection, Transportation providers can adjust bus departures to enable the passengers to make their next connection. Dynamic ride-sharing applications make the logistics of ride-sharing, scheduling, reliability, and communication easier by connecting vehicles and handheld devices. Applications do the matching for us, authenticating users and connecting riders with drivers. The Cooperative Adaptive Cruise Control app helps drivers avoid stops and starts, which can also help conserve fuel and improve traffic flow. And the Q Warning app monitors traffic data to detect stretches of slow-moving traffic and warn motorists to reduce speeds to avoid potential rear-end collisions. Connected vehicle technology can help pedestrians too. For example, the Mobile Accessible Pedestrian Signal System app sends an automated pedestrian call from the smartphone of a pedestrian with disabilities to the traffic controller, holding the walk signal until the pedestrian has cleared the crosswalk. This application also alerts drivers of the presence of a pedestrian with disabilities at the crosswalk.